All right, the Codes Fair and Farmers Market Committee has now come to order. Today is Tuesday, November 5th. I detect a quorum. The first item on the agenda is Resolution 2019-83 by Councilmember Van Rees, a request for participation in the Tennessee Logo Sign Program. Don't see Councilmember Van Rees here, so we're going to roll that to the hill. Next bill is Bill 2019-4 as amended. This is Sledge. It amends Chapter 604 of the Metro Code of Laws to prohibit aerial advertising. I'm going to move for a one-meeting deferral. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You defer. Bill 2019-30 by Murphy amends Metro Code Chapter 16.04 to restrict barbed wire and or razor wire fencing along arterials and collector roadways within the UZO to cross-reference the existing restrictions on said fencing along sidewalks in the USD. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. I'm going to defer this because I had said that I would defer it, but the only concerns that I have heard from the general public or anyone is from AT&T. AT&T sent me a list of a number of properties that they thought this would apply to, and so they said would apply to. I had our council office check those addresses, and this legislation would not apply to those addresses, so they have withdrawn their concerns, but since I've said that I will defer this, I'm going to defer it, but I'm happy to answer any questions because I'll probably send a letter next time for approval.
Did you hear a motion for one meeting?
So moved.
One meeting?
One meeting, yes, thank you.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? You defer one meeting. And then we have Bill 2019-31, Murphy and Stiles, amends Metro Code Chapter 16.04 to require a fence permit for all permanent fences to be constructed within Nashville and Davidson County.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, and I'm actually going to ask for a deferral on this one because there is an issue that has come up that we're going to seek some clarification on, and there may be an amendment. I'll probably send a letter, though, hopefully in the future on this one. So this legislation came about because, I don't know about y'all, but over the last 4 years, and including this entire summer, there has been a large debate over certain fences in my district newly constructed. And so discussion with codes, why isn't there a permit process or whatever, some way to check this. So the intention here is that when you are building a new fence on your property, you would come in, you'd sit down with the zoning administrator, they say it works. There wouldn't be an inspection process or anything like that, so it's not going to be something that is going to delay your construction or going to slow down or increase costs or any of that type of situation. The reason I'm deferring it is because there is a little bit of, we're not sure if you're replacing, so this does not apply to existing fences, but what if you are replacing an existing fence? I wanted to seek clarification from codes on intention there, and so I figured it would be better to defer this in case there is amendatory language to clarify that. So if you see an amendment, that is probably what it is.
You said go in, would they be able to e-permit, like submit it electronically, or would they have to come in to?
Well, it hasn't been adopted yet, so we haven't set up anything in our system. Normally, regular citizens cannot use e-permits to file something, so if you were just doing it yourself, it could maybe be worked out where a fence company could submit a site plan online, but we haven't gotten to that sort of phase yet. So one of the things we talked about was a delayed implementation date so that we would have time to work through those sort of kinks and figure out the best way to do that.
And that's what the proposed amendment is just bumping that effective date to outward.
I've got one question. With respect to his question, though, isn't the whole purpose of this to get people before code so that they can have the instructions, what is legal, what is not legal, in their hands? Right. It's not to get another $50 from people. It's so that they understand what the requirements are of fences, and I wonder if an online situation would allow them to bypass what this legislation is intended to do.
Well, I think that would be the question as to only people that can really use e-permits for that purpose are registered contractors. So the question would be if you were a fence contractor and you already had all the rules, if you could submit a site plan. I think we haven't worked through those questions yet, so that's what you would try to work through. But the idea being if you are someone that's coming in and maybe doesn't know the rules, you would come in with your site plan and talk to someone. But if you already knew the rules, but you still have to submit a site plan that was reviewed, and then they could look at that and to make that determination. But if it's the will of the council that everyone, regardless, comes in for that consultation, that could be done too. It's just a matter of time for it. If you do 50 fences, a week, whether or not that's actually necessary or not.
Councilman Withers, reminder members, this is a one meeting deferral motion. Go ahead.
I mean, I appreciate the sponsor for bringing that in because it's particularly, I think, in our urban districts where we have small lots anyway, we do have a lot of folks building fences. They think that they're totally fine. Even their contractor tells them they're totally fine. They're over property lines that leads to disputes. The neighbors are calling. Then we're having BZA hearings trying to get exceptions to allow the fences to begin with. So I think having more upfront consultation is in everyone's best interest.
And I'll give two examples. I'm going to the BZA next week as an item A appeal over a fence that actually has been partially taken down because it also violates the traffic code. And I'll tell you, some of y'all are aware that over in the last term, unfortunately, my BZA case was at the end of the docket behind a case in Council Lady Roberts' district that literally they sought a fence exempt or a fence variance because of jumping rats. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that is going to the BZA that hopefully these things can eliminate the need for hours about jumping rats.
Hold on, Councilmember Johnson, you.
Yeah, so the cost of the permit is $50, is that what you're saying?
$50.
Okay, Councilmember Hancock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Will there be a specification as to what kind of fence, picket fence, horse fence, chain link fence, privacy
So
fence?
the legislation specifies that and also specifies which zoning districts it does not apply to off the top of my head.
This is primarily in residentially zoned districts, so if it was AR2A and you had a large sort of perimeter farm fence, that wouldn't apply, but this is for the sort of residential fence code that we have in place that says, 6 feet within the, within 6 feet or 10 feet of your front setback, 8 feet on the sides, et cetera. So that's sort of the fence regulations that we're primarily looking at. But if it was sort of a farm area fence, that wouldn't necessarily apply.
Even if it's in, like RSAD or something?
I think that might be one of the ones that's
I think that might be
excluded. But again, we are deferring one meeting, so if you have issues.
Jump to real quick, Chair, Councilmember Young, I think your question got answered.
Mine was answered,
Okay.
yes.
Chair
Thank
Henderson.
you, Councilman Sledge. I appreciate Council Lady Murphy bringing this legislation. Fences are a huge problem in my suburban district because there's a stormwater problem. So often the property line is right in the middle of a stormwater swale, and folks will put a fence right in the middle of it, and the spillover effect, literally, of that, staff time, problematic stuff. So I had started work last session for basically a landing page that's just like what are best practices for fences. So I think, kind of marrying this legislation with a public facing, like this is best practice for fences, don't build them in swales, don't do this, so kind of an education piece. And so I'd already been working with water, so maybe we can kind of pull all that together.
That would be wonderful. I mean, literally my neighbors have built a fence and I just watched the wood warp because of that very reason. It's in our stormwater flow.
Call the question.
All right, any objection to the question? All right, we're going to vote on a one meeting deferral. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, committee, for a robust discussion. We are back to Resolution 2019-83. Councilmember Van Reese, this requests participation in the Tennessee Logo Sign Program. Can I have a motion?
Seconded.
Councilmember Van Reese.
Hi there. So there's this thing that you probably are used to seeing when you drive down the highway, those big blue signs that tell you what's at the exit, McDonald's this way and Hampton Inn that way, right? Those are state regulated, part of TDOT's program, and the state legislature allows municipalities to buy into the program, if you will, Memphis and Knoxville have approved to do it, and I feel like it's time for us as well. With District 8 having Ellington Parkway run right through it and Bradley Parkway go right through the middle of it. Those two particular parkways are listed, but this would apply to any state route. There's a designation as to what qualifies and what doesn't qualify and how to participate and how you can't participate, all on the TDOT website, which I believe was sent to everyone. More education will take place in that regard. Particularly in my district, this would help be able to, on Bradley Parkway, have better exit sign information for ACA Skyline Hospital. As we know, the Skyline Hospital is one of the region's best traumatic units ever, and all you see is this tiny little blue H sign, right? So being able to let people know how far away the hospital is, I think is really important for me on Briley Parkway, in addition to hotels and restaurants. But then also with Ellington Parkway, the more that we're seeing more businesses happen, the regulation allows within 3 miles of the exit. So that would allow people to know what is available to them for attractions, restaurant, and lodging are the 3 main areas, anywhere all the way to Gallatin Pike or to Dickerson. So if you're exiting off of Hart Lane, then you could get some information as to how far away something is over on Gallatin or over on Dickerson. So all those things are available, but if you're a business and want to participate, then you actually have to go through TDOT. They have a contractor that tells you how to make that sign. You have to pay for that sign. All that goes through TDOT. There's no fiscal impact for us at all. It just allows us to participate in the state program.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, it's an opt-in.
When you mentioned, and maybe I heard you wrong, we can opt in for Briley and Ellington, but does that also open the door to the actual interstates in the county?
Yeah, all the interstates. So I listed on the resolution specifically Ellington and Briley Parkway because they're in my district.
Right.
But it would also have to do with 65. So you have some up in Sumner County, the blue signs to get off, but it would allow exits for Rivergate Mall and things of that as well.
I guess my fear, and maybe there's already rules around this, but when I think of the downtown loop, there are tons of signs already, directional signs. Would they be allowed in the downtown loop? And once again, I don't want to get into the weeds over TDOT rules, but because there are literally hundreds of businesses that would apply, say at the Church Street exit. I mean.
No, yeah, I hear you. And I want to get more information from TDOT.
Okay.
Because the regulations are there that we can glean from.
Okay.
So I wanted to be able to introduce this so that we can talk about it and
Right.
hopefully get more information for that before we get to second.
Okay, cool.
Anybody else have questions? I have one question. I think it kind of follows yours. So I want to make sure I understand. So we're talking about any state routes that includes like Murfreesboro Pike, Nolensville Pike, those sorts of.
I believe so, but again, I'd have to defer to the TDOT regulations just to clarify. So if there's a particular road that you want to make sure is included or is have a question about, then send that to me so that I can make sure that TDOT answers that.
Is there a reason why we haven't been included in this, or Davidson County hasn't participated?
We have to send a letter to opt in, and no one has.
Councilmember, this is a resolution, correct? Not a ordinance or a bill. So it's just a one reading resolution.
Well,
So-
if you feel like that it needs to be deferred so we can find out this information, I'm happy to do that.
Would you be okay with the one meeting deferral?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'd make the motion for one meeting deferral.
Second.
All in
That's what
favor?
we're talking about.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Councilmember. That was very
Thank you,
helpful.
yeah.
All right, that concludes the meeting of the Coes Fair Farmers Market Committee. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.